Primarina has returned to Gen 9, and it's received some pretty cool minor buffs. This Pokemon has always been the best of the Gen 7 starters in competitive singles, with its Water Fairy typing, which is pretty fantastic. In Gen 7 and 8, this thing is ranked in a UU, not quite OU power level, despite great typing, solid special attack stat, and the pretty cool ability Liquid Voice, which gives you some more water-type attacking options. In both Gen 7 and 8, Primarina was largely outclassed by other bulky water types, especially Toxapex, who really dominated in those formats. And without a good defensive ability or immediate healing options like Recover, etc., it was a bit hard to keep up in that regard. Now in Gen 9, Primarina actually lost one of its most important options, Scalds, which is a much more scarce option in Gen 9. But that's okay, because Primarina also gains a new option, a very significant new option, Flip Turn, which is a water type pivoting move. This may not seem like much, folks, but I think this is a really significant new option. It's really important for Pokemon with good defensive typing like this to be able to leverage it in some way. If a Pokemon like this with no recovery and just a bunch of attacks is easily stopped by a simple defensive switch in, they can very easily be worn down over the course of the game and not get much done. But Flip Turn allows you a lot more breathing room now, because pivoting moves are an extremely safe option that allow you to respond to whatever the enemy does and keep up momentum. Now, instead of Primarina being dead weight and getting worn down by simple switches, now Primarina can be used as an avenue to get your powerful threats in and keep pressure up. Another cool new option that Primarina got in the DLC is Psychic Noise. This is a new move in Gen 9, one of the more interesting new moves. This is a Psychic type special attack, 75 power, that has the secondary effect of blocking the target from healing for 2 turns. This is really useful. It's a bit of an anti-stall mechanic. Imagine an enemy like Clodsire, who relies on Recover for its longevity. Skeledirge relies on Slack Off, Garganical, Corviknight, Pokemon like this. Psychic Noise is almost like a more proactive version of Taunt that can really give those Pokemon a hard time and wear them down, make way for the rest of your team to break through. All things considered, these are some pretty minor buffs, but I would also say that Primarina has been kind of indirectly buffed in the sense that it fits really well into this metagame defensively. I'll be honest and say that Primarina was not really on my personal radar in terms of new returning Pokemon to use on teams, but this player, LandorusTBeatsGreatTusk, that's a funny username, saw some potential in Primarina and actually used it to get an impressive number 8 on the ladder. It turns out, folks, that an Assault Vest Primarina is actually really good. I mean, they listed all of the Pokemon that you can effectively check, and this is a lot of common Pokemon. Darkrai, who is a new OU face, Walking Wake, Iron Crown. I don't think Iron Crown's very good, but some people are using it right now, so walling that helps. Iron Valiant, you do resist fighting and you shrug off special hits thanks to Assault Vest. I would also add to the list Gouging Fire, the new Fire Dragon type who is really popular. I just made a video on them. Guess what? Primarina is immune to Fairy and resists fire, shrugs off the coverage pretty well. I don't think Gouging Fire actually gets anything to hit it. You don't get poison moves, you don't get electrical grass moves. Thunderfang is your best bet, and there's no Gouging Fire on Earth running Thunderfang, folks. I can tell you that for a fact. This set is using Torrent rather than the Liquid Voice signature ability, and I think that makes a lot of sense. For one, it's pretty easy to get into this 1/3 or less HP range because of your Assault Vest bulk and take advantage of Torrent boosted Surfs, which are really powerful. And because if you're running Liquid Voice, Psychic Noise actually becomes a water type attack because it's sound based. This turns all sound based moves to water type, which is not really what you want. Liquid Voice plus Hyper Voice or something could be a useful thing because Hyper Voice goes through Substitute, but if you want to use Psychic Noise, you probably want to avoid this, plus you would lose the benefit of Torrent boosted Surfs. Here's the full team, folks, and I'll link it in the description. This team is taking advantage of a lot of new tools from the DLC. We've got the classic Fire, Water, Grass core going on with Primarina, Rillaboom, and Skeledirge, and this Skeledirge is running a really interesting set with Alluring Voice, which is a move that I just learned existed right now. It has a 100% chance to confuse a target that had a stat rise this turn. Probably mostly being used for Fairy coverage, but I mean also this is naturally a pretty good move on Skeledirge, the unaware Pokemon, the anti-boost Pokemon. Scorching Sands is also a pretty cool choice. I didn't even know Skeledirge got this, but this is a ground type attack with a 30% burn chance, similar to Scald. Ground coverage and status in one, sounds good to me. Most Skeledirge sets invest in special defense and go Calm Nature, but this one's defensively invested, which makes sense alongside the Assault Vest Primarina. Rillaboom is the big heavy hitter here, also supports Primarina defensively, not only because grass helps out against all the stuff water is weak to, but grassy terrain also allows Primarina the opportunity to chip heal up while having Assault Vest. Our Chaladon Celadon is a really cool new Pokemon that I haven't talked about yet, the new evolution for Duraludon. This guy has really incredible defensive stats and the ability Stamina, which raises defense by 1. Loves Rillaboom as a teammate because it nerfs Earthquake damage, which really helps, and Body Press is perfect on this with that massive defense. This is a pretty awesome Pokemon. I'll probably do a dedicated video on this guy. Hisui and Samurott also works well here, not only as a hazard setter with Ceaseless Edge, but also as a fast threat with Choice Scarf, which this team does need. A lot of slow, bulky attackers here. Samurott Hisui helps out in that department. Also keeps up momentum with Flip Turn, can get rid of items with Knockoff. A very good Pokemon, of course, we all know this. And finally, we have a Greattusk, obviously as a bulky ground type, form of hazard control. A fast threat as well with Great Stab. We all know why Greattusk is good. But what's nice about this is that in the DLC, Greattusk got even more new options as if it needed any. Greattusk now has fire coverage in the form of Temper Flare. Fire coverage is really nice to hit enemies like Corviknight. What's also cool is that this move has a secondary effect where power doubles if the user's last move failed. And that actually includes Rapid Spin against a ghost type. So if Goldengo comes in on Rapid Spin, it's immune, but Temper Flare gets buffed. So Temper Flare will actually really improve Greattusk's matchup against Goldengo. It was already quite good, but Temper Flare can hit Goldengo through Air Balloon, which is a very common item on Goldengo. This Temper Flare buff also applies to Headlong Rush. If Corviknight comes in, is immune to Headlong Rush, Temper Flare will deal much more damage. Let's take a look at the team in action, folks. We got our hero here, Primarina is OU, very aptly named, up against some Gouging Fire Sun. This is going to be a good proof of concept. We'll see if Primarina effectively walls the Gouging Fire and the Walking Wake. And honestly, you could just come in against either of these at any time and shoot off Moonblasts, make good progress. Torkoal can't come in, it's going to get surfed. Nice knockoff to start off the game. In comes Rillaboom, and this is going to get off a big Choice Band hit. Probably just a simple U-turn would be safest. Here comes Gouging Fire, but can't you simply go Primarina and avoid harm? Our Skeledirge does the trick too, of course. Defensively invested Skeledirge. That might be a metagame call for Gouging Fire, in fact, and double chip heal is fantastic. Walking Wake is on the field, and we're going to see Primarina come in, I believe. Look at this. Hydro Steam has dealt less than nothing. We even get chip heal from Grassy Terrain. Look at that. Enormous 42% on Hatterene. Primarina is turning Walking Wake into dead weight, taking advantage of it massively. What is the Sun threat? Gouging Fire is answered by Skeledirge. Walking Wake is answered by Primarina. How does the enemy do anything? There's no chance. Primarina is in fact OU. At this point, sending Walking Wake onto the field is a waste of time by the enemy, even with a Protosynthesis boost. In comes Primarina. Hydro Steam is doing 27. Nice move, opponent. That's a free Moonblast. Primarina's health, by the way, getting dangerously low, but you can, of course, get Rillaboom back in. By the way, our Chalodon's stomaching that Earthquake like a champion and getting a defense boost on top. Switching straight into Earthquake. What a Pokemon. Look at this. That's bulk, if I've ever seen it. Body Press gonna take that out. The enemy's in shambles. It's free every time. Go Primarina. This one isn't even sun boosted. Torkoal stepping on spikes in a world of hurt. Moonblast doing considerable chip. All of that adds up, of course. Torkoal might go for Solar Beam. No Rapid Spin. To what end? Look at that. Well played, sneaking in the Stealth Rocks in spite of the enemy Hatterene. And this time just sack our Chalodon. Sure, make it safer for Primarina. In the future, preserve health. Free entry point for Samurott. Hazards are getting stacked. This is textbook. It's textbook. Walking Wake getting sacrificed. I don't think there's any coming back from this. The sun has set, and Primarina just absolutely stonewalling the sun matchup. What a good meta call right now. Sun teams are everywhere. Walking Wake, very common. Totally destroyed by Primarina. So is Darkrai, Iron Valiant, all of these common threats. Gouging Fire, you'd probably rather answer with the Skeledirge on this team, but the typing certainly helps doubly against Gouging Fire. And if you'd like to try this out for yourself, I will link the Pokepaste and the Smogon Thread down below in the pinned comment and the description. Thanks for watching.
KO by one hit! It scattered spikes!
The money got different, cause of what I'm spending.